Watch this. Big, nice play. Very quick move. He goes to left is right, his left is right, and he comes up with a jumper.
Tell me about the little guys cross.
Here's Iverson. Through the defender. Stays right with him. Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yeah. He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row. 7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead in the water. The Sixers by 4.
What's going on, everybody? It is the crossover episode for To The Wire and Scotty Talks, man. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been pressing. We've been doing all this promotion for, and it's finally happening, man. Scotty, how do you feel, bro?
Hey, man, you already know I'm just excited to be here, bro. You know, we always have great chemistry on the pod, so I figured why not cross it over, man? Mix it up. Let's talk it all.
Yeah, and we're using a new platform for you guys that follow us on all of our different platforms. This is OBS, so this is a new venture for us. It's a little different because Scotty can't really see everything, and it's a little different for me because I'm always going live. So this is actually recorded content. So tomorrow when you see this, all these games would have already transpired what we're going to be talking about. So we'll have a whole new perception of what's going on and what's reality, because reality would have changed by then. So Scotty, man, we're going to jump right into it, man. First of all, you guys go follow Scotty at
Scotty Drowned, and be sure to follow my podcast at ST Philly Sports 1. That's where you're going to find all my content, as well as you'll see a bunch of Heat Ratio Sports content on there. Be sure to go follow Heat Ratio Sports as well.
For sure. Big ups to Heat Ratio. That's the only reason why we're able to do this. You have the scrollers at the bottom. It has our ads. It tells you what network we're from. If you're watching us on YouTube, which I'm sure you will be because it's the only place it's going to be, when you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you give us a like. Make sure you give us a comment. I'll go back and read them. And if you want to, because you need to, hit the bell so you know when we go live. We're not going to waste too much time. Like I said, we're going to jump right into it, man. Today actually, we started getting all these alerts, man, about the Eagles and trading picks and everything changing relatively quickly. So, man, How do you feel, man? Where you at?
At first, I'm processing. I'm at work. I'm not expecting it at all. So, and the crazy part of it all is the sequence. Because right before the Eagles traded their 6th pick away for that 12th pick, the Dolphins had traded the 3rd pick to San Francisco. So I'm sitting there thinking, the Dolphins were one of those teams that I thought might take a wide receiver, might take Kyle Pitts. They trade out of that spot. I'm like, okay, San Fran's definitely taking a quarterback. You don't trade up that far to get any other position. They obviously need a quarterback. They're out on Jimmy G. So I'm sitting there Jamar Chase is a lock, right, to the Eagles. I'm sitting there. I tweeted it at Jamar Chase, welcome to Philly, all of it.
Early.
10 minutes later, it's coming across my phone. The Eagles trade the 6th pick to the Dolphins for the 12th pick, a first next year, and I think it was a pick swap of third or fourth rounders this year.
Yeah.
But overall, I was processing it. At first, I'm maxed out. I'm pissed because I know what Howie Roseman is. I know who he is. I know what he does, what he's done to our roster.
Yep.
And it kills me to think that we have moved back in the draft to where it's no longer idiot proof at number 12. Now you're having to base it on a little bit of evaluation.
Right.
You can't just go off of what you've seen, in college anymore. You have to go and you have to look at the film.
Yep.
And that's where he lacks. That's the problem. You needed to be up in that 6th spot, up in the top 10 for that obvious pick, get that obvious talent. In reality, all in all, it's a great move if your GM isn't Howie Roseman, who sucks at evaluating talent. It's a great move to get another first-round pick, stay in the top 15. We could still get a talent. I'm just not confident that Howie will pick it at that spot.
I would also agree with you, and I'm gonna say this: the only way that Howie can come out on top on this is if two things happen. One, if Jalen Hurts is a bust. If Jalen Hurts is a bust, then he looks like a genius. But then it makes him also like an idiot because you drafted Jalen Hurts. So kind of, it's kind of counterproductive at the same time. And I want to be completely honest about this whole thing because as a non-Eagles fan, I catch a lot of grief because I'm telling the truth. But it's normal. Like, I get it. Nobody really wants to say it. But the real deal about this whole thing is that in this draft, it is receiver and quarterback heavy. And it was a draft where you really, at the 6th spot, you could have really got a generational talent. If it would have been Pitts or Chase. And I had been saying from before that Pitts is going to be the second receiver taken after Jamar Chase. I know the hype is there for Devontae Smith. I get it. But everybody, because it clicks closer to the draft, he's dropping because they're realizing the NFL is really physical. Regardless of what people say or do, it's really physical in the sense of when these DBs start getting physical with Devontae Smith, I don't want him to get broken really early. And everybody's saying, well, it won't be that bad because he did it in college. But college is a completely different ball game. He's going to have to go against the Jalen Ramseys of the league, and they're super physical. And without another premier receiver, he might have to be double covered.
Yeah.
So his production may be low. So that's why I'm out on Smith. And if I'm looking at everything correctly right now as everything stands, I think Trevor Lawrence is 1, Wilson is 2, and Justin Fields is 3. And that's just how it's going to go. And then everything else will kind of fall the way it's going to fall. But I think Pitts is a top 5 player. Even if the Eagles did have a chance, I don't think they would have ended up getting him because I think Penei Sewell is going to drop dramatically. I think that they would have been able to get Devontae Smith, possibly. But like you said, now with the guys drafting before you, I don't know if you end up with anybody of any real value to change your situation. So that's just my position. That's my position on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance, but it just makes it way less of a chance. You know what I mean? So like the odds are already not in your favor when you're talking about Howie Roseman.
Right.
And then you mix in that we're moving further back in the draft. It doesn't make sense. I'm looking at I'm just looking at CBS's mock draft right now, and I do see exactly what you said. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson had a crazy pro day, and that's the other thing that we kind of didn't even mix in there is the fact that the Eagles checked in to see if they could move up to number 3 to get Zach Wilson, and. So my thing is, like, fine, do your due diligence, see what you can do. But do that behind closed doors, man. Don't let that get out. Let that get leaked to Jalen Hurts. Now you're creating another awkward situation in the quarterback room. Like, that's weird. You just signed Joe Flacco. Like, that is weird, bro. Like, it's so messed up. But one thing I wanted to point out about that third pick with San Fran is my man Dan Orlovsky. I saw like a little video on Twitter, man, and he was saying how he thinks that San Fran is going to go Mac Jones at number 3. He thinks they should go Mac Jones because he fits Kyle Shanahan.
They need to fire Dan Orlovsky immediately. He never says anything outside. Like he's a Carson Wentz apologist to the core. If the dude was a woman, he'd probably be a groupie and he'd probably follow him up to his hotel room to try to get in bed with him. Orlovsky is one of those type of guys. I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, I don't trust anything Dan Orlovsky says. And that's just the reality of it. Sometimes ESPN has clowns on there to kind of like, I guess, boost ratings and make people laugh.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys. He's definitely not. He's not the guy that you go to for like Mel Kiper. I'm even starting to like Mark Sanchez a little bit, and I didn't really like him at first. I'm starting to like him.
Yeah, you got to look at him. He at least was nice in college, so I mean, he's gonna know his college football at least. You know
For
what
sure.
I'm saying? I am looking at this mock draft as well, and it looks like they had Kyle Pitts falling right to 6, and now they have Miami Dolphins drafting him, which that's crazy, man. And
Think
then they
about
got
that.
Jamar Chase going number 7 right behind him.
Think about that. We didn't even when I first said that weeks ago, when I said Kyle Pitts is a receiver, basically, everybody laughed at me. I don't think you remember that. I know you probably remember, but everybody laughed at JD Oracle. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you don't do this for real. Like, da-da-da-da-da. I was like, bro, like, I watch college football every week. It's to the point that I don't even make plans on Saturday during the season. But I don't let my wife make me plans. I literally watch my TV all day Saturday. Like, there's even a receiver at Minnesota that we should all be looking for. I'll let you guys do your own homework. But there's a receiver at Minnesota that he is a beast, and he would be a great addition to anybody's team. Row the boat. You know what I'm saying? So that's just thought process. I just keep hearing this a lot of times that people are like, oh, you don't know this, you don't know that. But when you watch a lot of college sports, I saw a tight end get double covered and still have 5 touchdowns in a game in the SEC, not in little poop butt, none of these little poop butt conferences. His dude was in the SEC with good defenses and had 5 touchdowns and had multiple weeks before he got hurt. He had 3 touchdowns every week at the tight end position. He made Kyle Trask look like a Heisman candidate. Come on, man.
Crazy, man.
Not to mention Tony. He had another receiver. He got more touches than Tony. And Tony is a burner at Florida. So that's why I said this draft is crazy for talent at the receiver and quarterback position. If you need any type of offensive skill position right now, this is the year to get it. It is full jam-packed. This might go down as probably one of the best years for talent as far as pro-wise. We're not even talking about the running backs, and it's the 4 major running backs in this draft that nobody's even talked about.
Yeah, straight up.
Harris, Etienne, Chuba Hubbard, and Sermon. Like, there is some real firepower at the running back position. And
day one firepower.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about. And I did want to get your opinion though, because everything now that we're at the 12th pick, a more realistic, target could be a guy like Jalen Waddle. How do you feel about him as a prospect? Why a lot of people are putting him over Devontae Smith at this point.
You know why?
Is that how you're feeling as well?
Yeah, for sure. And so I'm gonna say why. And I know people are gonna get mad about this. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of times where we get kind of caught on the awards and the accolades. Yes, Devontae Smith had a great year last year. He was the Heisman winner, all that and all this. I get that. But we also have to put him in perspective of who he's actually really up against. Jamar Chase didn't play this year. Jamar Chase was Devontae Smith last year. With the Burrow team, that was him. So we're not taking into consideration that that's that guy the year prior. And really, he had a better quarterback because, Joe Burrow was legitimately coming into the league and lighting the league on fire. Yeah. So let's be real about it. Let's call a spade a spade. Jalen Waddle played in the national championship game. He came back for that game. He was hobbling and still had 5 catches for 70-something yards. And he was actively limping during these catches. So it wasn't like he was healed up. He was out there because he wanted to play, but he was legitimately banged up. We're going to see a Jalen Waddle here in about 2 to 3 weeks. When everything's said and done, we're going to see a fully extra. He was supposed to be wide receiver 1 going into the season.
Yeah.
It wasn't Devontae Smith. It was Jalen Waddle. So, while everybody's talking, Jalen Waddle was actually supposed to be Smith coming into the season, and the injuries took their place. So I think we're a victim of the present with Smith, and I think we need to be kind of conscious that Jalen Waddle is still that dude. He has real burner speed, like real life speed, like Percy Harvin speed. And on top of it, there's another guy to look forward to is a DB out of South Carolina. That would also be a viable person for the Eagles to take. Yep, he'd be a viable person to take because they need help at the DB position. he would be, he wouldn't make a whole lot of money, but still enough money, and he's still proven out of the SEC conference. So that would be somebody to keep an eye on as well.
And you look at an Eagles team, who are their cornerbacks aside from Darius Slay? It's a lot of questionables, right?
Yeah.
We even let, I know people aren't high on Jalen Mills, but he was at least, versatile. He could play multiple positions. He was probably the second best outside corner to Darius Slay last year.
Yeah.
So where are you going with this position? And, I won't be surprised if the thing about the Eagles, man, I mentioned it in our heat ratio group chat earlier, is like, Howie's the type of GM that will go and take like a defensive lineman, like a number 12. Like, even though it doesn't fit, he just loves defensive lineman. He'll just take a defensive lineman. Like, that's where I'm gonna be heated, bro. Like, we don't need a defensive lineman right now. We don't need an edge rusher. Like, that's not a need. We literally have guys on the defensive line. So like, even a guy like Micah Parsons, like. He's killing shit right now in his pro day. Like, he's an option at number 12, possibly. Like, there's so many options, but you just have like this gut feeling that Howie's gonna screw it up, and that's what I'm most worried about, man. But what I will say about the Eagles is, I'm hoping and praying that there's no quarterbacks that fall to 12, but like. The security of Jalen Hurts, like, I'm happy that it seems like we're rolling with him for this season. Like, I want to see Jalen Hurts for a full season. I don't want to have wasted that second-round pick last year and push Carson Wentz out of town for a guy that we don't even trust. We try to just trade up and trade draft capital to get another quarterback.
And that is what my thing is. I'm thinking the kid from North Dakota State. I'm thinking he could possibly fall around that 12. I think Trey Lance, because the way of everything is going, and they're saying he doesn't have enough tape. And the last time we saw a guy like that, between him, Mac Jones and him, was the situation with Mitch Trubisky. And we watched him for one season, and we got enamored by him, or people got enamored by him, and then people passed on the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Deshaun Watsons of the world. They passed on those guys all because this guy had a hot season. And honestly, to be real with you, because I watch a lot of ACC football, he didn't play that great. They actually got toasted when they played Clemson. Like, we toasted them. So it wasn't like he had this great breakout season. He had a good season, but he wasn't the better pick between those three guys. If you look at that draft, he was the lesser of those guys. And Chicago would be in a very different situation if they had Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, literally. They would give up multiple first-round picks just to get those guys now.
Yeah.
And that's the crazy part of it. And you look at Mitchell Trubisky, he literally took a backup job in Buffalo. That's what's crazy.
He's the backup of a guy that's like on fire.
Like, I'm a backup quarterback, bro. I'm a go behind Josh. You're not beating Josh Allen.
A top five pick in the draft is now a backup. And even if you look at the class with Carson Wentz, those guys no longer are with the team that they came in with. The only person that's left is Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
That's crazy. And he was what, a 4th or 5th round pick? 4th round?
Exactly. So look at how we can be all high on these guys and they end up not panning out.
Yeah, straight up.
So we need to start looking at the talent evaluators.
Yeah, straight up. I want to ask you a question, though, about just the evolution of football and the importance of quarterbacks and the fact that you have quarterbacks getting drafted from North Dakota State, in premium picks. Like, you look at, like, the short leashes that quarterbacks get in the NFL now, to where Mitchell Trubisky was a top 5 pick. Usually you would not, like 5-10 years ago, you would not give up on a top 5 pick that quick. Carson Wentz, you would not give up on a top 5 pick that quick, right?
No, you wouldn't.
Like, now it's like they're disposable. You know what I mean? Like, these quarterbacks are disposable. There's not enough room in the league for them, to where Mitchell Trubisky is accepting a backup role. He didn't even go to a team where he could fight for a starting job, like Washington or some shit. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, it's crazy to me. And then even with Jalen Hurts, it's like he's a 2nd-round pick. Like, that's a premium pick.
Yeah.
But you're looking to get another quarterback. So what happens to Jalen Hurts after that? Because like, where does he go and start other than Philadelphia? Now that you've drafted him with the second-round pick,
Right.
wasting his time. When maybe if he went to another team last year, he might get some playing time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's wild how the NFL has evolution. The quarterback position, it's a very short leash. You know, the Eagles are looking at it like right now, let's get these draft picks next year, get multiple firsts, and let's go get a quarterback next year if Jalen Hurts sucks. Like that's, you know, the fact that they're doing that already. He doesn't even get one, you know, full season. It's wild to me.
You are spot on. Like, we're in a position now, and this is where that's why I think stuff started getting weird for me. When we started taking good quarterbacks because there's no player development. It's like the player development piece is completely gone. We don't want to develop talent.
Right.
We don't care to develop the talent. We just want to put these guys out here and expect them to have it all figured out. Well, here's a headliner for you guys, JD Oracle moment. You have to develop your talent in the draft, because if you do not, you will end up in situations like you'll end up in situations like Philly is in right now. The talent that they went out and drafted, there's been no player development. Ortega-Whiteside. Hopefully Jalen Reagor can somehow get some type of development or whatever. But if you look at the talent development from a Pittsburgh Steelers standpoint to a Philadelphia Eagles standpoint, the development is not there in the Eagles, and the development is there for the Steelers. The Steelers are just missing a quarterback that can really do something. Like, Ben's probably 5 to 6 years outside of his prime, and that's the end of his prime. 5 6 years outside. So you gotta kind of take that with a grain of salt, and you gotta take in consideration that at the end of the day, he's doing a lot. Like, those guys, the Claypools of the world, like, their talent development guys are finding gems. Yeah. They're finding these guys in the second round, late first round, and they're making them explosive picks, and they're panning out. So maybe it's just the talent evaluators, and maybe they're looking at different criteria than some of the other parts of the league, because there's such a big disparity between some of these teams in the player development. So you have to develop talent, Scotty. That's what I'm saying.
It's crazy because you just look how fast the Eagles went so downhill. Like, you know what? 3 years ago, tops, we just won the Super Bowl, like 2018. Like, how does your play? And it's clearly player development. Like, you've had draft picks, you've had players come in, young guys, and they don't contribute. You see guys, you know, and I hate to like put Jalen Hurts in this, but like, I look at Jeremy Chin, who went to the Panthers like shortly after we drafted Jalen Hurts, and he's playing at like a Pro Bowl level for a safety. Like, you just didn't have the eyes or the talent evaluation skills to see that. Like, somebody that can contribute day one. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor. I mean, that's easy. That's easy. DK Metcalf, JJ Arcega-Whiteside. That's easy. So it's as simple as that. But then you get to the player development, and that's where we hope and pray. You know, Eagles fans hope and pray that Nick Sirianni is better than Doug Peterson, because that's something that Doug obviously struggled with. Right. I get it. You definitely draft, you know, DK Metcalf over JJ Arcega-Whiteside. You definitely draft Justin Jefferson over Jalen Reagor.
Well, hold on one second.
These guys, these players aren't bad players.
No.
Like, they contribute. No,
but I think everybody missed on DK. Everybody was scared of DK because DK had the neck injury.
He was a project.
But the thing about DK is you had to look at how he came back. Like, I think a lot of times when people get hurt, they don't look at how hard they work to get back, and they don't really realize that, like, okay, yeah, he might have been hurt in college. Like, okay, let's look at Deshaun Watson. We'll use Deshaun Watson, for example. Deshaun Watson had a torn ACL in high school and a torn ACL in college, and I'm pretty sure he had one in the NFL. Yeah, so he's been dealing with a knee injury his entire career. Has it changed his game? No. In that particular case, it hasn't. And that's something we have to look at. Like, how fast are these guys coming back off injury? Because that shows his hard work. If you're looking for different things, if you're looking at the college game, a lot of the teams that are playing in the college football playoff, these are marquee guys. But you have to look deeper than that. You got to look a little deeper than that. Because LSU, they have another receiver that they say is actually better than Chase. And so you got to kind of look at the storylines. You got to kind of look at where the talent is coming from. If the talent is coming from the Southeast, you can kind of start looking around the league and saying, okay, well, where can we go to get some better talent? And that talent is probably in the Southeast schools. And even if you at an Ole Miss, like DK Metcalf or whatever, he's down there, they're not throwing the ball a whole lot. But that doesn't mean he's not a great receiver.
Yeah. I agree. And that's part of the reasons. And what you're speaking on is intangibles, things that you can't measure. And that's kind of why I like Jalen Hurts.
Exactly.
I feel like he deserves that shot because you see him putting in the work. You've seen his situations from going from Alabama, being in a national championship game, and losing your starting job.
Yes.
Like losing your job on the biggest platform in the sport.
Yes.
And then you just shift gears, you move on, you get over it, and you go to Oklahoma and you you become a Heisman candidate. Like that's perseverance, and that's self-discipline, that's training, that's practice, that's getting better. He significantly increased his passing accuracy at Oklahoma, and you just see the hard work that he's putting in. You see what he's doing this offseason. He's already got the young Eagles receivers down in Houston with him practicing. Like that's what you want to see from your quarterback. Sometimes everybody talks about his arm strength or he gets too antsy in the pocket. That's what player development is for.
Exactly.
Like arm strength, you can work around. His arm strength is not that bad for one.
He threw a bomb to Deshaun Jackson and was on point.
But for two, it's like you work on that with him. You work around that with him. And that's even where I struggle with Carson. I know Carson had like a terrible season last year. You build your game plan around your players, not vice versa. You don't force them to fit your game plan. And that's what I think a lot of what's been going on in Philadelphia has been that. And then on the other side, it was, you're totally focusing on free agency rather than the draft.
Yes.
To build a team, you're signing, over the hill guys. That's costing you money. That's putting you in a hole. And you see what we've done this offseason. We've done nothing.
So I want to point this out. You said this and it was really dope. You said that Jalen Hurts got benched on the biggest stage of his life. Most players would fold. Like most players would, crawl into it. He didn't fold. And the thing, a lot of people don't realize that he stayed an entire another year until he graduated. Yeah. He rode the bench, and then at the end of the day, he had to come in against Georgia and won the game for him. Like, listen, guys, like, if you are anybody that is not high on Jalen Hurts, I get it. He's not your primordial.
He's not your prototype.
No, he's not your prototype. Like, he's not that guy. But the NFL is going against that grain. Because if you look at Patrick Mahomes isn't your prototype either. Right. Lamar Jackson not your prototype either. These are two MVPs, not your prototypes. But sometimes awkward is awkward to defend. Like sometimes it's so hard to like think about what they're gonna do because they're outside the box. It's easy to defend against a Ben Roethlisberger who can't move. It's easy to do that. You just play man-to-man coverage and have a spot. He's not gonna run, so he's easy to defend. But against a Lamar Jackson, no matter how bad Lamar Jackson plays or how inconsistent he is throwing the ball, you have to account for his legs. So you gotta know. Same thing with Jalen Hurts. As inconsistent as he may be, or how many passes these guys drop, you still have to account for his legs on third and whatever. It could be third and 1,000, and you still gotta account for his legs.
And that's the craziest part is you tailor your offense to that as well. You give him those opportunities, and you just gotta hope if you're Philadelphia, one, nail this draft. It's mandatory. You have to, especially trading down even more now. You have to. You have to pick now. If you're at 6 and Jamar Chase, doesn't live up to the hype, or Kyle Pitts don't live up to the hype, then you don't look bad because everybody wanted them.
Yep.
Now you get to 12. Now you're putting yourself in this situation where I think it's high pressure, honestly. But
he thought it was the opposite. I'm sure he thought it's like, if we get to a pick, like there's no pressure now. I can just make a pick. It's gonna be less pressure. Now it's even more because now the picks this year got to count and the ones next year got to count. And because you got all these picks, you got more times to make a mistake.
Exactly.
So I don't want to. I know this is now. This is your thing. I'm big on NBA too, but I know NBA is your platform. You really rock the NBA, man. From what I see and from every time I've been on there with you. So our Sixers, man, like we didn't make any big moves. No, nothing too big. We went out and got George Hill. We got rid of our big. And honestly, last night I thought it was going to cost us. I did. Yeah. When Dwight went out, got ejected.
It probably should have cost us.
But it didn't, and we won. So what are you thinking, man? In your head, like, what are you thinking?
Hey, yesterday, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I told you yesterday when we hopped on the trade deadline recap show, it was stressful for me. Like I was so torn on like what I would do. Like if the Sixers would have ended up throwing Thibault in there, I would have convinced myself that it's okay. Like I would have gotten over it. And they would have probably gotten another player to replace, if they had to trade Danny Green and Thibault out of the lineup, then they would have gotten somebody, whether in the buyout market or in another trade. I would have convinced myself. I was down with Kyle Lowry. I wanted to see him come home.
Me too.
At the end of the day, I get it. Like, you don't trade Matisse Thybulle away right now. Like, this man could turn into something crazy. Like, his defensive ability is insane. It's off the charts. I can't think of anybody recently, maybe since Kawhi Leonard, that comes in like so focused on just being a disruptor, like deflections. Yeah. Like, it's not just like the big man like Gobert or Giannis or even Embiid, protecting the paint.
Right.
Ben Simmons is on that level now, but even he didn't come into the league like that.
Yeah, like tenaciously defense.
Instincts are crazy, and he seems like he's starting to shoot the ball well. So I get that, and we saw what Danny Green brought last night. There's two ways I'm looking at that. Either he's using up all his juice right now, or he's starting to heat up.
I think it's the latter. Latter.
Yeah, and I'm excited, man. Like I'm over it. Like, I'm over yesterday. Like, the best case scenario with the Kyle Lowry situation, if we weren't getting him, was him staying in Toronto. So great. If Toronto didn't want any reciprocation for Kyle Lowry, fine. He'll walk in free agency. Maybe he goes to Miami. Whatever he wants to do. I don't know what Kyle Lowry wants to do, but the Sixers get George Hill. I think it was a move that didn't cost you much. I know Tony Bradley. He was impressive, especially with Embiid out. I think we were like 7-1 with Tony Bradley starting. He was impressive, and he showed some talent. I think the Sixers decided, we have Joel Embiid, and we don't need a young, prospective center. I think it was, if we can get some type of help right now for that, then let's do it, because we're not going to use him. We're not going to do this like third string. If they do a third string center, then I believe it's either going to be Paul Reed or, maybe a buyout option. I don't think they'll go the Cousins route. I know we talked about that. But George Hill, he brings veteran presence, playoff experience, 3-point shooting, length, and playmaking to the second unit, putting Shake off the ball. And I think that's the biggest part there. And what people, I feel like we've gotten used to seeing Embiid not with the squad right now. Like, we're winning.
Yeah.
It's still fun.
Yeah.
And the thing is, MVP's coming back soon, and that's the craziest part, man.
And man, I'm excited. I'm gonna tell you why I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I was telling everybody we don't need to make this huge move. Like, let these guys gel. Bro, basketball is one of the things that, like, I'm into football. I'm super into football, but basketball is a thing I played for a very long time, and I can feel it. You can feel it when you see a good team that has chemistry. Yeah. Because, like, in the teams that have started to get chemistry, they'll start winning games that before they would have lost. People will start stepping up that you don't plan for. Like, Danny Green balling out last night was not expected. Like, the way that sometimes, they've turned, Ben Simmons loose and he's had 42 against Denver. Like, you never know. With these Sixers, you don't know who's going to step up. It might be Tobias. It could be hell. It could be Steph. I mean, Seth Curry. You don't never know who it's gonna be, and that's what's crazy. It's hard to prepare for a team that's gonna have somebody else step up night in and night out. Hell, sometimes it's Dwight Howard or Tony Bradley, court lines. Like it could be anybody. Mike Scott hit 3 threes the other night. Like, come on, man. Like, if you're a Sixers fan, if you don't have any love, if you don't have any excitement in your heart, you don't got a pulse. You're stiff, because it makes me super excited to see these guys who people had basically counted them out. And with the emergence of Morey and Doc Rivers, he resurrected this team that was falling apart at the seams. Like it was so much trade talks all year about last year about who's going to be going during the offseason. Is it going to be Joel? Is it going to be Ben? Is it going to be Tobias Harris? And really, only thing really that happened is we watched Daryl Morey come in and get rid of like the biggest ball and chain we've ever had in Horford and got that contract off.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting 2 shooters that we didn't have.
And that's the crazy part is, you had Philly fans, crucifying Daryl Morey on yesterday. And that's ridiculous, man. This man's put in work. He didn't want to sell the farm. And that's understandable at this point. You are looking at, I know we are on this Joel Embiid. I know it's right now. Like, Joel Embiid is MVP status right now. Ben Simmons playing his best ball. Tobias playing his best ball. But we're looking at, a 2-year window realistically. We can get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think we can win the championship. Don't take this the wrong way.
This is the year to do it.
You think it's this year, right?
It has to, because you got Bron and AD is beat up.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And it is looking messy around the league. What I will say, people keep talking about the Nets' big three.
Yeah.
The Sixers have a big three. They do.
Let's get in it.
People don't want to talk about it. People don't want to talk about Tobias Harris. What would have happened if Tobias Harris makes the All-Star team? That's 3 All-Stars, and he should have. If those 2 New York Knicks games happened before the All-Star break, Julius Randle isn't an All-Star.
That's Tobias. That's
straight
Tobias.
Up. And, so we got to stop discounting our players for one. Like, our fans. It's not even other fans. It's our own fans sitting here, like, discounting this team, acting like we haven't earned the first place in the East this entire season.
And we've kept it.
It's like, the Brooklyn Nets get all these excuses of why they've slipped down to 3rd place. No. Nobody gave us excuses last year when we got swept by the Celtics without Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Nobody gave us that. I'm not hearing that.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to also not only echo what you're saying, I'm going to add a different layer to it, because people aren't talking about this either. If you take the Sixers team you got right now, we should have fallen out of first place with Joel Embiid gone.
Exactly.
Because we haven't played bums. We beat the Utah Jazz right before the All-Star break. The All-Star break happens, 2 guys get COVID or get contact tracing and are out. They don't come back for a game or 2. So in that time frame, we didn't drop a game. So we're looking at things, and we're looking at it with some crazy lenses on, I think, sometimes, because we forget that a couple years ago, not even a whole 2 years ago, we lost games that we should have definitely won. I mean, games we had no coach, we had no way, and with the adjustments that, Doc is able to make, he's revitalized Tobias Harris and made everybody eat their words about the things they said about this dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, because Tobias is doing it on both ends as well.
Yeah, they were calling him an expensive paperweight, stuff like that, man. Like, this guy has come in and hit game winners in the clutch.
Let's talk about it. Like, in this time without Embiid, who has really led the team? Like, it's been Tobias Harris. Like, Ben Simmons, don't get me wrong, he's doing his thing, but Tobias Harris, in my eyes, like, I'm gonna say it. In my eyes, I feel like Tobias Harris has moved himself above Ben Simmons, and I'm not joking.
2 spots.
I'm not joking. He's the second best player on this team. He's the second most important, almost, I want to say. It's hard for me to say that, most important. It's hard for me to say that because of Ben's facilitation and his defense. But Tobias is playing defense, and he's a go-to guy.
It's like, okay, so how about this? I'll make your point for you. If you, as at the end of the game, you got, let's say if Beat fouls out, you still got Ben Simmons, you got Tobias Harris, you got 4 seconds left. The ball's not going to Ben Simmons. First of all, they're going to foul him, and he's going to miss the free throw. But outside of that, Tobias Harris has showed us he has some stones on him. He's got some stones. He'll take the big shot. The moment's not too big for him, and I think that's all because of Doc. I think Doc is making him play like he did when he was with the Clippers, and the Clippers were emerging. They were coming back and creating something really special with him and Lou Will and all those guys. We need to look at that, and we need to put that in our mind that this could be Tobias Harris. This could be him really, and the other Tobias Harris with Brett Brown could be the anomaly. That might not be what he really is. So I think for what we paid for him, was it a little much? Maybe. But what we're getting now is definitely making it worth it. And we just have to take it at that. But I will cycle back to this Brooklyn situation. With Brooklyn, what kills me about what people with Brooklyn is, Brooklyn keeps saying they're doing this without Kevin Durant. And I get it. Kevin Durant is arguably the second best player in the world right now, outside of LeBron, because LeBron's got longevity. But KD, the sniper, man, he's something else. He's something to be feared. He's something to be feared. Yeah, he's something to be feared. But I feel like with the Sixers, if the Sixers have that big three, like you said, and for real, if we really being honest, our defense is so much better. So we could slow them down and we could score as well. Will we score 130 every game? No, but they won't either. So you know what I'm saying? So they're not scoring 130 either.
What do people think? Like they just, I know what they think. It's so like novice of them to think that the Brooklyn Nets get to the Eastern Conference Finals and they're just about to run through whoever they play. Like whether it's the Sixers, the Bucks, the Heat, whoever they play in the finals, or if they even make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, that they're just going to run through them, score 130 points a game. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden going to get 30 each. Like, that's not how it works. When you get into a playoff series of 7 games and you're in a knockdown, drag-it-out fight, which one of these teams are tough enough that they're going to win that game? When the shots just ain't going down.
Yep.
Who's going to win that game? And we know the answer to this. Like, it's very simple. The more physical, the better defensive team will win that game.
Yes.
With more unstoppable presence.
Yes.
And that is Joel Embiid. And that's what's crazy right now. That's what's crazy is Joel Embiid, there's nobody for him in the league.
Not really. I mean, even if they go out and get Andre Drummond, if let's say he buys out and they get Andre Drummond, because I've heard that a couple of times, if they get Andre Drummond, we should watch out. And I'm being honest. Andre Drummond wasn't stopping Embiid either.
That's
so he had, and the one guy they said could do something with him, Rudy Gobert, he sunned him 3 weeks ago. And let's be honest, and I'm just gonna throw it out there. Let's say one of these big three from Brooklyn is out. They're not, because right now Kyrie's on a damn sabbatical. He's just decided I'm on vacation, bro.
Family reasons.
I'm out. But it's his birthday. Now you see all the posts about it's his birthday. So did you miss because it's your birthday? You want to hang out with your boo, or did you really, do you have family issues? And it's not me to judge. I don't care. And then he's been so cryptic. Like Kyrie's been cryptic, and he's becoming a locker room cancer that we always kind of knew he was. But he's now becoming it. I mean, I don't care about what the media has to say about me, but I had a burner account like KD. Like what? Come on, bro. Like. A leopard can't change his spots, brother. And that's something that has never happened. You never seen a leopard change his spots. So a lot of these things that they had before when they were with different people, they still going to have it now. James Harden is playing differently right now because that's James Harden. He has to evolve.
Right. And I trust James Harden. Like James Harden probably is going to be the one that's going to cook in the playoffs. Like if we're being honest, like
he hasn't in the past though. So
right. I think in this situation, Harden is a guy that he's going to score. Like, he can get in the lane, especially if Kyrie is there. But that's the thing, man. KD, he's questionable with that leg. Whatever's going on. Same as AD. AD and KD, they got them questionable-ass legs. Because what's going on? on? What's the timetable? When are y'all coming back?
Tell us something, bro.
Tell us something. What's going on? The Nets are being cryptic.
Listen, I'm gonna be real. Let's say, and we talked about this. Let's say that the Lakers. We'll use the Lakers. I want to talk about the Lakers real quick.
Yeah.
Let's say the Lakers, they lose 4 or 5 more games. They're in a play-in game.
Yeah.
They're not number. Forget being number 1, number 2, number 3 seed. They'll be looking at play-in game, extra games with AD on a bad wheel and a LeBron kind of nursing a bad ankle.
And they're going to end up having to rush LeBron back when they're falling out the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because it'll be hard for him to get him back in. I mean, he's going to have to play in a play-in game. And that's what's crazy, because you saw them play against the Sixers last night. And mind you, we let them back in the game, whatever. Like, those dudes
they're buns.
Garbage.
They were down by 20-something.
Like, Kyle Kuzma is garbage. Like, Montrezl Harrell, like, basic. Like, these are basic players. Marc Gasol past his prime. Like,
yeah.
Nah, this team, yo, if one of those guys aren't there, they're not winning shit. Like, yeah. I really feel that way. I feel like they were better with Dwight Howard, literally.
I told somebody that.
With Danny Green, maybe even better with Danny Green over Dennis Schroeder. Like, I don't get what's going on, because you look at that team and it's like you Dennis Schroeder's supposed to be nice. Like, everybody's telling us that he's got all this value for the Lakers, but what happened last night? Matisse Thybulle strapped that. He strapped him up. He frustrated him. Dwight Howard was frustrating Montrezl Harrell.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. Even my man did a good job against them. Reed did a very good job.
Reed came in and gave us minutes. Like,
yes, and this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is the thing I'm talking about. The Lakers are looking like right now, if they go into the playoffs how they are right now, they don't go get an Andre Drummond. They don't go and do any of this. If they don't do any of these moves or they might be in trouble. And I think that the way that the Eastern top teams looking like they could come out and really do damage to the West this year, because the moniker team that they've been all saying was going to be the team might not be as good. And the best team in LA might be the Clippers, especially with Rajon Rondo.
That's what's crazy. And just to kind of, touch on this point with the Lakers, what they're looking at over the next, month or so without LeBron, he's looking at 4 to 6 weeks out without LeBron. Even if AD comes back,
is that plus what he's already been out?
Yes, 4 to 6 weeks.
Plus
at the beginning of this week. So what? I guess we're looking at 3 to 5 weeks at this point now after this week. But whatever. We're looking at who the Lakers are playing the rest of March, and then into April. He's probably going to miss all of April, most likely, if it's that timetable. So you're looking at the notable matchups the Lakers have over the next month and a week or whatever. You got the Cavs tonight, which, quite frankly, I think that's a loss on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
The Cavs play fast. They're young. They were able to beat us with Joel and Ben.
Exactly.
I think they can beat the Lakers.
Right.
They got the Bucks, Clippers, Heat, Nets, Celtics, Jazz twice, Mavs twice. Now that's at least 10 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. That's 10 games that, maybe outside of the Cavs game, those are all losses. And you look at where that takes them in the West.
Yeah.
And that puts them out of the playoffs. That puts them in the play-in tournament or whatever you want to call that, which is just crazy. What I will say is, if they somehow did get healthy right at the right time, then that's the last team you want to play as a 1 seed getting in there in the 8 seed.
And just to give people a frame of reference, because you guys are gonna be seeing this recorded. We're watching the Nets just barely beat the Pistons 113-111. The Suns hold on to beat the Raptors 104-100. Celtics beat the Bucks 122-114. And the crazy part about this, we're not even saying it, the Pelicans almost beat the Nuggets 108-113. So we're not seeing a whole lot of pullout. And the Hornets are beating the Heat 108-103 with about 10 seconds left. So it looks like it's going to be a win for the Hornets without LaMelo. So Listen, guys, I get there's a whole lot of disparity and people saying a whole lot of stuff, but you got to look at these wins. The Nets did pick up this win, which does help them kind of stay because now Milwaukee just lost, so now there's a teeter-totter effect.
Yeah. So what? Milwaukee was in second, so I guess they'll probably slip down, and Nets will go back up.
So it'll be 2 games back off the lead.
You look at the Sixers, and they're 8-1 since the All-Star break. Like we're cruising right now, and
Cooking.
we're only gonna get better. So the thing that's gonna be crazy is if the Sixers steal this Clippers game tomorrow night.
That would be interesting because they don't have a big. They have a big, but they only have one big. So we kind of gotta pay attention how that looks. But I don't really.
Throw Ben Simmons on Kawhi. Throw Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle at Paul George.
PG doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Pandemic P.
You know what I mean? Ben Simmons is the best matchup that you could have for Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic, he can move.
Like, what else do you have to worry about with the Clippers? I feel like they're so. With Rondo, I feel like he can help them. He can give them an identity.
But is he there yet?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Now, yeah. Denver. The thing with Denver tonight is they may have been playing without some players with that whole.
With the trade. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
They may have been playing without some players tonight. But either way, what I will say about Denver is I do think they benefited the most over the trade deadline. I just want to point that out.
Yes.
Aaron Gordon mixed in with Jokic, who's like primarily a playmaker. I think that's a good look for them. But the Sixers. What I'll say is the Sixers and the Lakers are headed in completely different directions. The Lakers, I would be scared if I was a Lakers fan because in your mind, if I was a Lakers fan, I would say, all we got to do is make the playoffs and we got a chance. But that is looking very grim right now, depending if there's any setbacks with AD or LeBron.
Right.
There's so many things that can factor in right now, and you're watching a Sixers team who is without their best player
and thriving.
Thank the Lord that no structural damage to that knee in that Wizards game. He's coming back, and that should be scary if you're in the Eastern Conference. If you're looking around the league and looking around at what's going on, it's crazy to me that national media doesn't talk about the Sixers with any respect. It's crazy to me, but. You let them have that. We don't need the hype. That's what we don't need.
It's best to sneak up on somebody. It's always good because I think it's gonna be my last point for the show because I think I've pretty much exhausted all my good stuff to say, and I don't want to damage what people think about me now. I'm excited for 2 very, very specific reasons. I remember the last time I was this excited about a Sixers team. It was the Allen Iverson team. It was a team with Iverson, and you know how that went. They went down and won the first game in LA. The infamous step over happens, and you're like, okay, this is going to be a great thing. Iverson's going to take down Goliath, and we watched them get mollywopped. So let's. I've learned with the Sixers to kind of curb my enthusiasm, but this year I feel uplifted because they haven't had a good coach like a Doc Rivers, a legendary coach. I know some people won't say he's legendary, but I think he's legendary, and he's going to go down in the record book, especially if he can turn this thing around. I think that if they do turn this thing around and we do get a chip, I think we need to get Morey a very, 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 very nice present, expensive present, because of what he's been able to bring to the city, the excitement, the joy, and just something to look forward to. Because there was the years before there's been so much dissension in the Sixers organization because they've been during the process, and then the process was turned into, okay, well, we can't win, but we'll win, but not now. And they didn't have the coach, and then they finally went out and got Doc Rivers, and then Doc Rivers brought in his guys, and Daryl Morey came in, and that just changed everything up. And think about if you're Elton Brand, all right? You go out and get Daryl Morey, who you know is going to get all the credit for what has happened to the Sixers. You no longer going to take that credit because of him, but you still let it happen, or you still see it through, and it looks like it's going to end up turning out great for Elton Brand. So I don't know, man. I'm excited. I don't want to curb my enthusiasm. And everybody's trying to get me to curb my.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I'm happy. I want to be happy. Let me be happy, people.
What I would say, to anybody out there that is, just still doubting the Sixers, you investing all this emotion into worrying about what the Nets are doing. Look at this Sixers organization from just last year compared to this year, and look at how far Doc and Daryl Morey and what they brought to this organization and instilled in it. You look down the roster. These are hoopers. These aren't just basketball players. These are hoopers. They want to play. You look all the way, like literally to the bottom of the roster, and you can find good parts of these players' games. You look at Paul Reed. You said it against the Lakers last night. Came in, got some boards. He got like 2 dunks. He brought energy. He scraps. He's a hooper. He won G League MVP.
Yeah.
Like in a rookie season, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For a rookie to win G League MVP when you got veterans playing in the G League.
Yes.
So, you look at that. You look at Isaiah Joe, who they brought in out of Arkansas. He shoots lights out. He's a hooper. He could be useful in the future. You bring in Tyrese Maxey. He's a hooper. He can be useful in the future. And that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a bunch of hoopers. You got Embiid, a guy that has perfected his craft. Tobias Harris has perfected his craft. People don't want to say it. Tobias Harris went under the radar last night, but guess what he had? 8 for 10 shooting and 17 points. in a night where we just simply didn't need Tobias to go off. We didn't even need Ben Simmons. He had 7 points. So you just look around the squad, man, and it seems like guys are finding their stride, and it's looking good. Seth Curry came back last night off
Exactly.
hitting shots. So it's exciting, bro. And Dwight Howard, what Dwight and Danny have brought to the team, like the accountability, the experience, it seems like the perfect blend. It reminds me a lot of the 2017 Eagles, of how it kind of got infused of just the perfect moves that offseason combining with the perfect draft that you had. We brought in like an undrafted free agent and Corey Clement to contribute to Super Bowl. All of that. Brought in Torrey Smith, brought in Chris Long from Super Bowl winning teams. You bring that experience in. It seems like it's all coming together all at once for us. And just enjoy the ride. Like you said, just enjoy first place. Like, don't make it so hard on yourself. Like,
don't make it weird.
Fun. Like,
don't make it weird. We don't want it to be weird. Don't make it weird. Like, we just want to win.
Like, we got to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like, we're about to be, what? We're 8-1, and if we drop a game tomorrow against the Clippers without Joel Embiid, people are going to lose their minds.
We shouldn't.
We got to lose games. That happens in a 72-game season.
But if we still won, then great.
Exactly.
Great. We still won. Like,
it says more about us winning than if we lose. Like, that's not a big deal.
If we win, if Dwight plays great tomorrow, we win. Or Tobias or Ben or somebody steps up like they've been doing for weeks. Somebody will, and we'll be saying it might even be Korkmaz. It might be Korkmaz.
Watch it be Tobias against the Clippers, man. Him and Doc.
They got beef. They want
that game.
They want it bad. So sometimes when the game means more to people, you just play harder, and sometimes it just means more. Like it just like for Danny Green, it meant more against the Lakers. It got his ring. And the same thing with Dwight. Dwight was killing before he got ejected. He was having a good game. And I'm going to say this, the last thing I'm going to say about the Sixers and kind of just wrapping up Sixer stuff, Sixer talk, is the thing that stood out to me is that Isaiah Joe, when they brought him in, Reed, when they brought in Reed, I said it's going to say a lot about him the way he comes in this game. Because he's thrown in here. He's, probably wouldn't even expect him to play. He's playing now. And he's going against Montrezl Harrell, who Montrezl Harrell normally bodies and bullies people. Right. And he didn't do him like that. He didn't body and bully him. He got 2 really good dunks. He was in the right place at the right time, caught the ball, went up strong, dunked the thing. And it's, to me, when you do something like that as a rookie against a guy that's known as kind of the bully of the yard, it sends a very strong message to the front office, like, hey, I'm not here to be played with. Don't bring me back down. I don't want to play G League. I want to play with the big boys. And that gives me some pause. Like, sometimes you can give Joel a rest because you got these guys. You can let Dwight and now Reed, you can let them hold a mantle for him for a game. You can do some load management in the game with Joel. Maybe letting them play 17 minutes, here and there, depending on how much we need him, because of the guard play and stuff. So that's why I'm hopeful. It's not so much everything else. I just think we have continuity in our bench, and we're building that because of all the different injuries we've had to overcome this year.
And you think about the George Hill addition, it provides that same thing for Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
So, maybe you alternate, because Ben Simmons is a big guy too. I know people talk about Joel's size, but Ben Simmons be flying around everywhere, going all out on defense. He's a big guy. He's 6'10". Like, he's going to need his nights. You don't want to be messing up his knees, playing back-to-backs all the time. So George Hill gives you that option to fill in for Ben Simmons. Then you can revert back to Shake Milton running that second unit. We have so many options at this point, guys that can fill in with experience. It's feeling really good. It's feeling like the right mix. Paul Reed, I like that you pointed him out. I'm excited about Paul Reed. Maybe not this season, but I think he could legit contribute. Now, this offseason, there's a lot of things that could happen. And, it's a lot to talk about the offseason right now, obviously.
Yeah.
This season doesn't turn out the way we're talking about, then, guys like Paul Reed, guys like Maxey, they might end up in a deal. You never know. But that's beyond the point. I'm excited about the young talent on this team. It just seems like we got I hate to use the term farm system, but it's similar to baseball.
No, it's exactly that.
That good, productive, attachment that is the Delaware Blue Coats. So
shout out to Jamil Nelson.
Yeah, there we go.
Shout out.
And I mean, they're killing it, in the G League. So when you have a system like that, it seems like we just have tiers and levels in place, and it's like a farm system that just feeds in. It's a nice feeling to have competency, and like you said earlier in the show, competency in the talent evaluator position.
Why is it that nobody's talking about the addition of Sam Cassell and how big of a part that's playing?
Man, I see him on the bench every single game, like
he's
literally
hype.
Another coach. Like
he's so hype.
Yes.
Could you? And then you remember
White got kicked out last night. Did you see him?
Yeah.
He went off.
So that's another thing, and I wanted to point it out, and I promise this is the last thing. With Sam Cassell and Doc Rivers, there's so much expertise and so much like just smarts. Like, I feel like Sam Cassell is one of the smartest point guards that will never get the credit he deserves, but he was super smart. He puts me in the same mindset of a Rod Strickland or a Mark Jackson. They were floor generals, and they will never really get their due because the era that they played in, they played with a lot of fire, but they were still a good person, a good player in their right. So when I see Sam Cassell, I just remember how smart of a player he was. He would turn his back to you and he would back you down, and he was just smart. And I think because of that, Ben Simmons is actually getting something from that, and. We're not seeing Ben have crazy games, 42 every night or stuff like that, but we're watching him become more of a facilitator. We're seeing less of the games where he has those mental lapses, where he has a bunch of turnovers. He's done it a couple times, but for the most part, Ben Simmons would go like 2 or 3 games straight. He would just turn the damn ball over. And you would be looking like, why are you playing like so far down? But now Sam Cassell pulls him over to the side, and they have so much more respect for this coaching staff now that they have to listen. Like, it's not just like Brett Brown's guys like, oh yeah, I don't care about that, whatever.
Exactly.
We're doing what we want to do.
Been in those situations before. They know better. They know what to do, and that's what happens when you have experience and respectable coaches come into the system. I mean, Doc, look at the crew that he brought in with him. Aside from Sam Cassell, he brought in Coach Joger from I think he used to be the was it Jazz or the Bucks?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't really know, because I always get Jazz and Bucks people mixed up.
No, right. They're so.
I don't know why. They have nothing to do with each other, but I'm always getting their people mixed up.
Either way, Doc brought in an incredible coaching staff with him, full of experienced individuals. Sam Cassell is a guy that people were talking about before Doc, as a coaching, a coaching candidate for our head coaching position. So
Right.
to see him come in as an assistant to Doc is crazy. And Ben Simmons he's shown us stuff too. Like, we don't want to let him be forgotten, because he is ultimately the key in this whole system here. We need him to show up some nights in the playoffs. Not every night,
No.
but those times when against the Raptors, when Joel Embiid's getting triple team, that's your time, Ben. Come to the rack, be in the right spot, make the
Dunk
right
that
pass.
thing. And no layups. All dunks.
Yeah, last night he did one time at the end of the game where it pissed me off. He should have just dunked it, yo.
Yep.
He passed it out to the corner. They got 3 happy last night.
They did, but they was hitting though. So
They were hitting. That was probably the best 3-point game of the season.
for
real.
sure.
And the other thing to point out about Ben, I know it was said on the telecast last night, but 7 points, but he did assist on like 9 to 10 threes, over 34 points.
Oh yeah, his
total.
plus minus was crazy, dude.
Yeah,
And that's the intangibles that we talk about with him.
exactly. That's Ben Simmons.
Hey man, we have reached our hour point, man. We've done it.
It's so easy.
It's not easy. We have successfully crossed over 2 shows, one of their own, mine, To The Wire, and Scotty Talks. We've done it. We've crossed over for the first time. And I can't wait to do it again. Next time we get to do it, maybe we'll have the whole crew on to do the crossover episode. Carm wanted to be on tonight, but she had some other previous engagements. Same thing with Terrence. But man, I've loved it, man. You have anything you want to put out real quick, man? You know we do our shameless plugs at the end.
Yeah, of course. Just quick shout out to the rest of the Heat Ratio crew. Of course, we did the crossover tonight, but we don't want to forget about the rest of our Heat Ratio sports crew. Shout out to those guys. Be sure to check the channel on YouTube every single day of the week. We got shows going Sunday through Sunday, literally. Shows every day, including my Scotty Talks NBA Mondays. We got a lot of new content that's coming out this week. I know I'm getting Kai Carlin on the show on Monday. That's going to be great. I can't wait for that. And we got a lot of stuff going on, man. It's almost too much to talk about. We haven't even mentioned the crazy bobbleheads.
Oh, I'm not done. I'm gonna put them up real quick.
I'm gonna let you plug everybody, but the bobbleheads, man, we're doing great things over at Heat Ratio Sports, and I'm excited, man. I just want everybody to join in now, because you don't want to wait until it's too late. Get connected with us now, man. Let's engage.
Let's engage, man. And my shameless plug, man, I don't know about anybody else, but there's some really important stuff, some really exciting things for beer drinkers and people who are beer connoisseurs for us in the next coming weeks. Now, I want to put more out, but I haven't gotten the okay to do it. So when I do, I'll be putting it all out for you guys. Also, like you said, the bobbleheads are big. They got the Sister Jean bobblehead. It's amazing. It's super dope. It's so much detail in these bobbleheads. I've already hit them up for a couple already. So you'll start seeing them here in my background soon on To The Wire. Also, like you said, man, the other shows, man, if you're like one of our listeners, you'll be on YouTube watching us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It helps us out. It keeps us going. It's how we know who likes and wants to be a part of our audience and who wants to be a Heat seeker. Also, hit the button. Like, a lot of our shows go live. Like, so if you want to be one of the guys that are interacting with us and asking us questions and putting out your trash talk and pointing out your favorite team and letting us know what's up, that's the best way to do it. And that's about it, man. Like I said, I'm JD Oracle, and that's Scotty. Scotty Talks Philly Sports.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Of course, I was happy to get this crossover done. Be sure, guys, go follow me at Scotty Drown, at ST Philly Sports 1. That's for the pod. And, of course, at Heat Ratio Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Exciting times. Join the fun. Engage with us. We'll get you involved. Maybe even get you a free bobblehead for all you know.
Everybody loves free stuff.
God, JD.
Everybody loves free stuff, man.
Exactly.
All right, man. Until next time, we will talk to y'all. Deuces.
Peace.
By accident, though, because of his 19 points, he also was plus 12. Led the team in that category as well, which usually his defensive issues are my biggest concern. Because, like, as JD would say, he can't guard a parked car. So, that is my concern. And building up on Vance's comment about resiliency, I say this often, not necessarily on the air, but just water cooler conversation, that this is a game they give away last year under Brett Brown.
True.
They were up 18 at one point. Then it got dwindled down kind of late when